Evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome everybody to the Painting Coach 30,000 sub and 2-year channel anniversary frequently asked questions live stream. I would love to hear from you if you'd like. He's also been on Google Translate. That first thing, beth ydy dy hoff liw? What is my favorite color? It's not blue. My favorite color is green. So that's the first question answer out of the way. And the second one that Tom was very kindly put up, beth yw eich hoff ran am paintio, which I think he's trying to say, what's my favorite thing to paint? Which is a very interesting question. I'm not 100% sure of the answer. I paint a lot of Space Marines. I'd say probably the thing I've enjoyed painting the most and the result I like the most would be something like Mortarion, for example. That's a real good one. So thank you for those openers. Starters for 10. Tom, very much obliged to you for those. So welcome along to the live stream. It's the first time I've done anything like this for all of YouTube. I'm not sure how many people are going to turn up. The fact that one person is here is a success in my eyes. So I'm very, very grateful for that. My name's Lloyd. I am the Painting Coach, and very recently we passed 30,000 subs. We passed 31,000 subs, and we're now going to knock the door on 32,000 subs. So if you are one of those subs, I'm very, very grateful. I really appreciate you taking the time to sort of spend some time watching my videos. It really, really does mean a lot. Anton, how are you? I'm very well, thank you for the congratulations. I really appreciate it. My favorite thing about painting, I guess, is creating things. I used to think I started painting to relax, but actually, what I really like is I like creating things. I like bring worlds to life. I like bring ideas to life. I like challenging myself, and I like pushing myself to be better. So that's one of the. There's a lot of things I like about painting, but if I was going to pick one of them, it would just be that particular thing about really, really enjoying the creativity. It really does something. Thanks, Christian. Appreciate it. Miniature Marine, hello. How are you? Stifias, hola. How are you? I hope everyone is well this evening. So in terms of what we're going to do, we're going to spend about half hour, an hour, however long you guys want to spend with me. I'm happy to take questions about painting, maybe questions about life. Who knows? Anything can happen Wednesday night. We'll see. But let's try and keep it to painting, because at least I know something about painting. Sometimes I pretend to anyway. So I've got some questions that people have left prior in the community posts. So I will work my way through those. Tom, you've already had your 3 wishes, but please do feel free to continue contributing. Yes, I am good, Stephus. I'm very good. Like I said, I'm very excited to do this for everyone. Like I said, I do this monthly for my patrons, so this is the first time I've done it outside of that group. So it's very, very exciting. Mike, how are you, my friend? How's it going over there in Ireland? Have you still got the nice weather? I hope you do. TCS Designs, good evening. Thank you very much for your congratulations. I really, really appreciate it. It does mean a lot. And in terms of where I want to go, I was hoping to get 30K by the end of the year. Managed to smash that before June started. So just after June started, which is really good. Really delighted with that. So yes, I'm here to spend an hour with you, and we'll see how we go. So I'm going to jump into some of the questions that I had sent through previously, and I'll answer those questions. Marwolaeth, good evening. Well done for this milestone. Thank you very much, Marwolaeth. I'm not sure how I feel about having death commenting on my feeds, but yes, thank you very much. Gary, my friend, UK Mini Painter, how are you? Really enjoying your work at the moment. Gary's putting out some great Death Guard terrain. Very, very good stuff. And I think, what are you working on? Kragnos? No, you've just finished Kragnos. So yeah, Gary's a talented painter. So go give him a follow on the old Book of Face. Michelina, thank you for the content. Thank you. I'm really glad that you enjoy the videos, and thank you for watching. It really does mean a lot. So yes, I will keep on keeping on. I'm hoping one day this will become the big one. But yes, yes, I am probably the first person to notice. There's a little bit of Welsh at the top of the chat as well from Tom. So thank you very much for that. So I'll jump into the questions I've had pre-prepared. I'll answer them, and if anything pops into your heads, please feel free to shout out. So the first question is from Cyber Witcher, and the question is, what are my favourite Warhammer stories or books? So the only real books I've read are 40k books or Horus Heresy. So I really like the first 3 Horus Heresy books, which kind of set the tone for everything. And I reread them not too long ago, and I've actually got the audio versions as well. They're fantastic. I love them. They are really, really good, and they really set the scene. So I'm a big fan of that. And my favourite 40k book, I would have to say, is, I think it's Brothers of the Snake, which is about the Iron Snakes, and they follow Squad Damocles. And I'm actually going to paint up the Gravis captain that they just released as an Iron Snake, just to do something a little bit different. So that's my my feelings on 40k or Warhammer literature, I should say. I've not read anything from the Old World. I've not read anything from Sigmar, but I am getting the new Sigmar box. I'm quite excited about that. So we will have a couple of tutorials from that box. Maybe I'll read some of the lore as well. So we'll see how we go. Cheers, Gary, on the congrats. And Miniature Marine, how's your AdMech force going? Is it going well? Are you doing the kind of the normal red scheme, or are you going for a different Forge World? Yes, Smickley, I've not painted a set from Middle-earth, but I did a tutorial not so long ago on some Rangers of Gondor. So I painted the 3 Rangers, Faramir and 2 of his captains. So I did that recently, and I've actually got a Mumak on the table at the moment as well. So that'll be the biggest set I do. So I'll have pictures up. If you don't follow me on Instagram, check out the links at the bottom of any of my videos, and you can follow me on Instagram and see all the photos of my work that I don't necessarily do tutorials on. I guess my favorite army, I'm sorry, probably will be Space Marines. I know people might not be particularly happy about that, but they are. And I'm really looking forward to potentially getting some new Eldar sculpts. I've got a feeling Darren Latham might be teasing new Eldar sculpts, because he keeps putting pictures up of all the old Eldar that he's painted. And of course, he sculpted the new Howling Banshee. So I'm fingers crossed for those. Mike, wow, thank you. Thank you very much for that donation. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. And what's for Dawn? Yes, for Dawn. And Dawn will be forthcoming before long, I hope. I don't know if you can all see this, but I've got some Gravis Imperial fists on the go as well. So for Dawn, my friend, thank you very much for the donation as well. I really appreciate it. Leonidas from Sparta, thank you very much. I'm glad that the tutorials help, and I'm more than happy to help you with any questions anybody's got really about that. So going with the standard ones, nice. Belisarius, there's a lot of little bits on Belisarius Call. There's a lot of little bits on there. What brand of paints do I recommend? That's a good question. That's a good question. I could, if I open this up and said, chat, put in the chat what your favorite brand of paints is, and I think that there'd be a different answer for everyone. So I use a lot of Citadel paints, and the reason I use a lot of Citadel paints is because that's what I've always used for years and years and years. And they're the most accessible paints, especially at the moment with everything going on. You can't always get hold of things like the Vallejo, the Scale 75, etc. So I use Citadel. I use them all in my tutorials. Now, that being said, I do really like the Vallejo range. I really like the Vallejo model color, so I started using more of those. I really like the Scale 75 golds. I think they're a really nice gold range. So they're things you can check out. And then the next kind of step away from that is I'm looking at what we call heavy body paints. So these are things that you'll see them in tubes. I haven't got one to hand. They're all packed away, believe it or not. That I'm trying to learn to use and to become a bit of a better painter, really, I guess. But I'd say Citadel. You can't go wrong with Citadel as a way to start and a way to learn. And I think similar a little bit to paintbrushes. The paints are not always the secret weapon. The brushes are the secret weapon. It's knowing how to use them all together that gets you the results. Because I would probably say that while Citadel has got a massive range of colours, and Vallejo's range is not the same, they're much of muchness. You just need to learn how to work with each medium. Obviously, it's all different. Terrace Davey, thank you for dropping by while you're at work. I appreciate you watching the videos. I hope you enjoy them. So thank you very much for taking some time out. Opens the favorite brand everyone bashes Citadel. Yeah, I think that's the thing. It is literally a case of how long is a piece of string when it comes to what your favorite brand of paint is. Because like if you've watched the brush video I did last weekend, it's about what you're looking for and what you want that paint to do. So I always start off with Citadel because like I said, they're the most easily, readily available at the moment. I'm going to do so as part of the Dominion box set, I'm going to do a tutorial on Draster next weekend or this weekend coming. I'm going to do the boss on the Beast. I don't know what he's called, the weekend after. I'm thinking I'm going to do like a Hobgrot speed painting tutorial, but I'm going to use totally different. So I'm going to use an airbrush for the first time on cam, use oil washes, under shading, those kinds of things as a way of showing how to do it quickly. And it's a totally different way of painting to what my other videos are. So keep an eye out for those. G, thank you for stopping by. Enjoy your work shift. I hope it goes well. There are Citadels in dropper bottles. If you are that way inclined, I have to be honest, I am not that way inclined. But yeah, a bit of flow aid should do you well. How much? So if you've not watched the video I did on Sunday, which is kind of covers that question about how much better Winsor & Newton are than Citadel, I probably wouldn't. The new Citadel STC brushes, I have to say, I'm quite surprised by. I'm quite surprised. I quite like how they work. They don't perhaps have enough of a bigger belly for my liking. So when we talk about a paintbrush, we've obviously got the tip. Then this bit here is the belly. And that's what holds the moisture, holds the paint, and lets you paint for a while. So to my mind, the Winsor & Newtons are better than that. And they're better than the Citadel because of that. Whether or not you get a smoother result at the end, I'm not 100%. So you probably have to do your own testing. Obviously, it depends on like your paint consistency, etc. But I really like Winsor & Newton. I've used them for years and years and years. I use all different kinds of brushes. That one I showed you then was one of the Squidman brushes. And the reason I use all different types is because I like to try them and obviously give that feedback to you guys then to see to hopefully share that knowledge. Robert Reese, nice to see you. Painting questions. Grey Knights go with Grey Knight Steel, Drakenhof, and Oil to be dark arm, but when it comes to highlight with Grey Knight Steel, it's invisible. I suppose without actually seeing it, it perhaps difficult to comment properly on it. But I would probably, have a look at my Imelda Brasikoff video, because I use Grey Knight Steel as the base. I don't think I use Null Oil to go dark and dark. And then highlight it up with Grey Knight Steel, add in some chrome in with it. If you can't get chrome, big shout out to Tom from Canada who lives near a shop which seems to have everything. He sent me some chrome over to keep my supplies stocked up. But yeah, just mix a little bit of that in with the Grey Knight Steel just to gradually brighten it up. When Grey Knights get their 9th edition codex, which in my understanding is it's been pushed back a little bit, but I'll do a full Grey Knights tutorial on them as well. So it depends if you're patient enough to wait for that or whether you want to go and watch the Imelda Brasikoff. But it shouldn't be invisible if you really darkened them down. So I've bought some Rosemary & Co. Series 33. Is that what you recommended, Gary? That's not one of them. I'll put them in my drawer. But I bought some of them to try on your recommendation, so I'm going to give it a go as well. So whilst I'm waiting for more questions to come through the feed, I will go back to the pre-submitted questions. And this is from Enrique Leva. And it says, what is some advice you give to someone who feels they're plateauing in terms of their painting skills? So it depends what you mean by your painting skills, as into how good you are. If we look at some miniature painters, are we talking, tabletop standard? Or are we talking Alfonso Giraldez, Sergio Calvo, Roman Lapat? the top there. What I would also potentially suggest is doing things like limited palettes. So if you take like a zone palette, for example, which is really muted, I think it's red, yellow, brown, ochre. It's like 4 or 5 colors. So try using a really limited palette. That might help as a way to push you on, because it makes you really think about the colors. And I talk about this guy all the time because I learn a lot from him. But if you don't subscribe to Marco Frazzoni, NJM, go subscribe to him, because he does all these fantastic videos on theory. Really does teach you about not just color theory, but how you use different colors and things. He's really got a really good channel, so go and check him out. Yeah, that's another good one from Gary in the chat there. Trying to not use washes for shading. So we did gold armor yesterday for the weekly short. We're doing blue cloaks tomorrow. Obviously a bit of a Stormcast theme ready for Dominion, but I've not used any washes on the cloaks. So yes, we'll see how that works. But that's another good way. I know Squidmar recommends that as well. So there's lots of things you can do. I'd say perhaps it's really easy to get disheartened with painting. And I speak from personal experience. When you think, right, I'm going to learn a new skill and I'm going to go off, I'm going to be a fantastic painter, I'm going to learn from the best. And it takes time and application and dedication to get to that level. So don't bite off more than you can chew, because that can sometimes have the opposite effect. I know I'm a great believer in saying shoot for the moon, because if you miss, you'll be amongst the stars. But when it comes to painting, you'll just have a real mess in your hands. You've got to strip and start again, and that can hurt your motivation sometimes. So just bear that in mind. Yes, I have done plague bearers on the channel. I've done them as a contrast paint tutorial, which you can see it's a full length video. So obviously a lot of shorts, do 2 shorts a week as well as the 1 full length, and they're up on the channel. I did them quite a while ago, but nice and easy. Hi Lee, nice to see you. Don't worry about missing the start. You've not missed too much. If you've got any questions, throw it into the chat. And yes, you can watch the replay when it goes live later as well. Yeah, I'm not going to start using an airbrush in all my videos. I'm going to start using it. So I want to do a speed painting video in a slightly different style to my step-by-step videos. Just to kind of expand a little bit and showing how maybe you can use different tools to get faster results that don't necessarily sacrifice quality. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to see about painting the hobgrots in like all the hobgrots. I think there's 20 hobgrots. Maybe see if I can paint them within 4 hours or something like that, as all 20 of them. So obviously the techniques still need to be on point, so it's going to be different to the kind of the base layer wash highlight that sometimes do normally. So we'll do that as well. So that's the kind of pre-submitted questions. Mark, thanks. I appreciate you loving my channel. I hope more people do. It's a pleasure. Sometimes it's an absolute stress, but I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. So I probably should have started years ago. Thanks, Katasunda. Really appreciate that. It's been a wild ride this last year. It started very slow, and as soon as I started doing the shorts, things just took off. You paint your where that's kind of blended with an airbrush. All the layers are put down just with a brush, a normal kind of base, and then blended together on there. So that's cool. A nice way of doing it. Plague Bearer. Sorry, my fault. I was thinking of Poxwalker. That's my bad. I've not done Plague Bearer, but I have done Poxwalkers. So you could probably use some of the stuff from the Poxwalker for the Plague Bearer, because I put flesh with a highlight. So my bad, misunderstanding. Please forgive me. So feel free, any questions you may have, throw them into the chat with reckless abandon, and I will answer as best I can. Going back to the question Tom put up earlier about favorite single mini. Do you know, something I'm actually really enjoying? I'm really enjoying painting Jelson Darrick from the Cursed City game. You may have noticed he's popped up on a few shorts videos with different types of leather that I've been doing, but I'm kind of doing him bit by bit. And I'm actually really enjoying doing him. And I've got the other witch hunters, Galen and Duralia Van Denst as well, so I'm quite enjoying those. That should be fun. What's next? So we've got Indrasta this weekend. So that's Indrasta this weekend. We've got the Cruel Boys boss on Giant Beast the weekend after. And then essentially what I do is I tend to follow the Games Workshop release schedule. So whatever they release, I'll paint that weekend. So we'll see what that looks like. But I'll definitely do the Hobgrots speed painting at some point as well, because that's something different I want to do. And I also want to, once kind of COVID restrictions are lifted and things are kind of a little more back to normal, I want to do a 24-hour live stream as well, painting 2,000 points of Space Marine. So that could be interesting. 3 new paints are coming. Yeah, I've got them on pre-order. I'm not 100% on the green, the Orc Flesh one. I'll wait until I see it, but based on the kind of the colours they've got on the page, I'm not sure it's a decent starting point. So for those who need to varnish miniatures, do I recommend a particular brand? I have a very painful relationship with with varnish. I've had some absolute nightmares with varnish. I tend to use Vallejo. I tend not to varnish my miniatures though when I finish them. So the reason I do that, if you want to protect your miniature, then gloss varnish is for protecting it, because gloss varnish will give you the hard shell, but obviously that makes it really shiny. So you may have to then put like a matte or a satin varnish over it to dull it back down to acceptable levels of shininess, depending on what you want to do. So I use the Vallejo stuff, and I've really got experience of the Vallejo stuff, so I can't really comment on any of the brands. That's the only stuff I've used, but there are different brands within Vallejo, and I use the premium, not the normal game color stuff. So I've actually got Radical the Beast Mark, but it's going to be a giveaway for my patrons, and I was going to do it on Sunday night for my monthly live Q&A with my patrons, and I totally forgot because I'm a terrible human being. So we're going to do that in the Discord later on. So I'm not painting him, but I have got him. I am giving him away. I potentially could do a video for that. What I would say is don't worry about varnishing. If you're going to varnish with the airbrush, the main thing to make sure you do is don't put too much varnish in the same place, because it will run and because there'll be so much of it, it won't dry properly, it'll dry white. The other thing you can do is you can thin it with water. So just normal tap water, half varnish, half water, mix that up, and it'll go through fine. Spray it at a high pressure as well. And then don't use the trigger, don't depress the trigger constantly. You want to do that kind of motion, so gently pulling back on the trigger as you go, and that'll just onto the model. And do that with the paint as well, because that stops it pooling, stops it running. But the water-based varnish, like the Vallejo stuff, absolutely fine through an airbrush, not a problem. Coach, will I be doing a painted tutorial for the small Thunderhawk, so the Aeronautica Imperialis Thunderhawk? Well, 2 questions back to you. Are you buying one for me to paint, and what colour am I painting it? In which case, I happily paint the baby Thunderhawk for the channel. What else we got? So I'm getting old and I've got my glasses on, so it takes me a while to read through the chat. So please bear with me. Thanks, Logan. I'm just talking about airbrushing, and then he comes in and says that's what keeps the channel really accessible, is the fact there's no airbrushing. And actually, that's one of the founding principles of the channel when I set it up. It was to make it as accessible as possible. I know not everyone's got an airbrush, so that's why I haven't done any airbrush tutorials up till now. That will change as I go forward and as I build the channel, and hopefully I can spend more time on the channel, so that I can, cater for everyone. as it were. But in the main, the Sunday videos and the shorts, they'll always be just brush. They won't be airbrush. The airbrush videos will be kind of like special effects videos, like glow and things like that. Did you use, was it spray can varnish, or stay away from spray can varnish? That's a little bit of advice. I've never had problems with Agrax, but I do, or I have heard that if that or Null Oil, if they are dry and shiny and tacky, it means they're off. So there's something gone wrong with the pot. I potentially could do one of the Forge World Primarchs. I've got the Lion sort of half done, and I've got Dawn to do as well. So if there's a gap in the schedule, potentially there could be some Forge World Primarchs. Good evening to you, Rich. How are you? There is no dog cameo because he's downstairs. We've got a new puppy. He is 10.5 weeks old. He's downstairs. So he's been a good boy. It's time for his nap. I absolutely love white chocolate macadamia nut cookies because that's the right combination of sugar, fat, and cookie. Because we all know a cookie is just a cookie. There's no calories in cookies. Don't care what you say, Rich, you're wrong. Living in your bin. God damn. So what other questions have we got about painting or tutorials or anything in general? Pop them in the chat. I'm sure he may well make a cameo on the channel at some point in the future, whether that's barking in the background or whether it's as part of another live and he wants to be involved. He doesn't know the office exists yet because we keep the door shut, so he's never been in here because puppies being puppies, he will probably go wild and try to eat something. Yes, Goblin do always deliver fast if it's in stock. So thank you if you did use my affiliate link. If you didn't use my affiliate link, it doesn't matter. Support businesses. Yes, Colin, Mark, I am actually live. So this is part of the 30,000 subs and the 2-year anniversary of the channel as well. So I thought I'd do live. So I do it every month for my patrons, but I thought I'd go live for everyone just as a thank you for supporting me. Thank you for helping my dreams of being full-time miniature painting just crawling one step closer. It really does mean a lot. Oh, somebody's got to go and ruin it by starting the Magnus thing. It's fine. Open to debate. I've not actually read the books, so can't comment. What's my most enjoyable mini to paint to date? Oh, that's a really good question. That's a really good question. I don't actually know the answer. I don't know the answer. That's a really good question. I'll have to think about it. Maybe I will come back to it when I when I figure it out. Because as some models which you think are going to be really straightforward turn out to be an absolute nightmare. So Morven Val, for example, I thought that'd be really straightforward. She turned out to be an absolute nightmare. Didn't enjoy it one bit. Another one, Bellicore was really good. I really enjoyed doing Bellicore. I see, Owen, you've got a question about Bellicore, but yeah, I enjoyed Bellicore. He was good. I enjoyed the first half of the Silent King. I really enjoyed that. So doing the Satan Shard and the throne. Not so much doing the king himself and his 2 Praetorians, mainly because they're an absolute nightmare to glue together. But so, Owen, you said that Bellicore's base done needs starting next. Thanks for 29 tips for the dry brushing part. Not really. What I would, it's difficult. So, like, if you watch movies, I use makeup brushes because they're a bit softer, so that when you apply the paint, it doesn't give you that chalky effect as much as like a miniature brush you might buy off, like a Citadel one or an Army Painter one. So because of that, and because of the shape of them as well, they're not kind of flat, they're kind of rounded. So because they're rounded, they just give you a softer effect. And then when you add the glaze afterwards, or the contrast paint, it just pulls it in together. You don't have to worry so much about it. So that would be my advice on that. Sorry if you haven't got makeup brushes or anyone to borrow them off. By the way, if you borrow someone's makeup brushes to this, do give them back. Do not give them back. It will not end well. Thanks, Connor. I'm glad the Orks with contrast paints was useful. I think I saw I saw somebody else doing them very recently using the exact technique that I used as well. So I'm painted it. It's mine. But there's some really interesting. If you're a military modeler, they use filters all the time, and in terms of just changing the hue or tinting the color and things like that. And it's one of those things that as mini painters we can kind of bring in and learn a little bit about, I think. Best way to paint poxwalkers, contrast or standard? I would say contrast. I've actually got a video on poxwalkers, not plague bearers, poxwalkers using contrast. It's so much easier, especially if you've got lots and lots of them. It is so much easier with contrast. Mistake, put interest in Zinch. Yeah, never do that. Yeah, that's what you've just done, isn't it? The terrain's okay. I did years ago. I did a display. It wasn't a display board. It was a display square for some Deathcore of Krieg, and I've got the pictures somewhere, and I can't remember where. But it's the first kind of big modeling project I did, and that was real fun. And I was using like railway modeling techniques for painting the rocks and things. So that was good. I enjoyed that. I'm glad I'm. Spider serum makes you high and blocks your areas all at once. Good times. Mini painting or rugby is a good question. I'm a little too chunky for the rugby, or more so rather unfit, where my fitness levels are perfect for mini painting. So I will say that's at the moment, but I'll always watch the rugby if it's on, especially if it's Wales or Scarlets playing. Somebody asked earlier, I missed it. They asked me how long it takes me to paint models. So this is an interesting question. Tom asks me this all the time. Standard answer: it depends on the model itself. Obviously, because of the amount of detail and things like that. But in terms of the channel, what I generally do is I'll get the model delivered on a Saturday, as long as the post gods are being kind. The model gets delivered on a Saturday. I'll build it on the Saturday, prime it on Saturday, and I'll paint it on the Sunday with the aim of finishing the painting. So I'll start about 10, half 10, with the aim of finishing the painting by about 4:30. So that's what? 6 hours, half hour for lunch. There's 5.5 hours. So it's a pretty banging pace that I go at. Sometimes that doesn't work out. Sometimes I finish later, which means because then I've obviously got to edit the video and put it together, upload it, and get it out. Mortarian, for example, I didn't finish that until something like. In fact, I had a live with my patrons the day I finished Mortarian, and I finished him just before the live, so I couldn't edit him. So he went live Monday night instead. So it does vary massively. Some minis, paint a Space Marine to a decent standard in like an hour, but that's just from experience, I guess, is the word. Just knowing what paints to put, what colors to choose, how to do it. Doesn't mean it's a sustainable pace though. So I work 5 days a week in like an actual normal job, and then Sunday is my tutorial day, and then I do commissions and things in the night. So it's very in terms of the pace, and it's not always sustainable. So sometimes that's why, like last week, for example, it was great to just do a nice simple video about brushes, because it just kind of takes the edge off. I would say classic paints. I think contrast paints have their place, and I've got most of them, and I use most of them. And I think contrast paints are really good for things that they weren't marketed to do. So contrast paints are marketed to get rid of the grey and to make sure that people could paint things fast, but actually I don't think they're best for that. So I like to use them as washes. I like to use them as glazes. I think they're fantastic over organic type materials, so fur, skin, etc. They're great for those things, but they're useless for Space Marine armor. I haven't put them through the airbrush yet. I imagine through an airbrush they'd be fine for it, but yeah, classic paints. Yes, Morty's not cheap. And the top tip Morty, if you're going to put the little nerdlings on the base, put them on after you've painted them, because they get in the way otherwise. The pieces give me the most trouble or frustration. Ooh. Mortarion frustrated me because of how long it took. Teclis frustrated me. Teclis himself's not selling now because there's a lot of detail on him and like on the armor and things like that. So that was quite frustrating. And I had to kind of get your head down and chug through it to get it done. So probably those two. I was going to say you've painted about 50, haven't you? The most complicated and challenging mini I've ever painted. So I suppose you can look at that from lots of different angles. I'd say the probably most challenging build mini, and this is going to sound stupid because they're so basic, but the Praetorians on the Silent King drove me absolutely mental. They took me ages to get done because the contact points are so small, my fingers are so fat, and they just would not stick. That was frustrating. In terms of complicated and actual painting, I think because of the style I try to do in the videos and the way I see my videos as, I think there's a big gap between what you see on the box and what you get when you open that box, which is a coloured plastic frame. So the ethos of what I try and do is I try and show people to create as close as represent. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm an heavy metal level painter at the moment. I'm not. I might be one day, but I'm not now. But I want to show people a way where they can get as close as they can to that result that they see on the box. Because ultimately, you'll all remember the first time you walked into Games Workshop and seeing whatever it was you saw on there. It's really exciting, and people, especially new people coming into the hobby, it's really important that I think that there's a resource there that helps them get close to what they see on the box. I know Warhammer TV does its tutorials, and what Duncan did before were probably of a higher level to what's coming out now. Really exciting to see what Louise does. She's a fantastic painter with Warhammer Plus, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that. That'll be good. But yeah, so I suppose I don't paint I don't paint challenging pieces for the channel. That being said, if I kind of keep it to the kind of the Warhammer vibe or things like that, probably one of the more complex ones. Laukovai was quite complex with all the kind of the mixing and the contrast paint on that, so that was quite complex. I'm trying to think what else I've done. I mean, what about you guys? What's your favorite tutorial that I've done? Pop that in the chat while I think and answer some more questions, and I'll catch up on where we are. So I will come back to you, Davey, about that. Yeah, contrasted over metallics is good, especially for Chaos Marines, Alpha Legion, Word Bears, whatever it might be. It's good over metallics. Yes, they do use contrast as washes now. Yeah, so I've got an Ogre 2 Pro, a really good bit of kit. And if you play miniature agnostic games, so if you play something like Kings of War, for example, there's really good companies out there, people like Archvillain Games, Titan Forge, where they release a set every month. I'm really excited for Titan Forge this month because it's High Elves, and they release a couple of heroes, some cavalry, some infantry. But the infantry have got interchangeable parts, so they've got halberds, they've got bows, so essentially you can build an entire army and 3D print an entire army off like a £9 subscription, which is fantastic. And I sculpted and 3D printed some Imperial Fist shoulder pads as well. So yeah, it is an interesting space. Yes, the Psychomancer was a pain to assemble. Thank you for reminding me about him, Owen, because I remember, I was not happy building the Psychomancer because that head does not, and the coils, they don't want to go together particularly well. Yeah, resin printer. That's the resin printer for minis and parts and spares, and then you want a filament printer if you're going to be printing lots of terrain and things like that. I don't think box art visits Photoshop in terms of the model. I think it goes. I think it might go through the auto enhancement feature a little bit, because if you look at the artwork on the website, it's different colors. So the 3D spinny one it's different lighting, I should say. So it's got different lighting. So yeah, that's question. That's kind of what I was aiming at. So thank you for stepping inside my head and and telling people what I actually meant. Yeah, Evil Sun sounds. Do you know? I'm with you on Evil Suns to the point where my pile of shame contains a good few Ork buggies, the Speed Freeze game and things like that. So that's yeah, one day maybe. It's all time, isn't it? It's all time. It's all time. Like I said, if I was fortunate to do this full time, which, like I said, it is the aim, it is the goal, then yeah, definitely, I'd have that Speed Freaks army because I think the aesthetic's just really cool. I enjoyed the Adeptus Sororitas tutorials. They were fun, and I think they're a really cool range of models. And what I really like about the Sisters of Battle models is they remind me a lot of the old Space Marine models. So with the Intercessors now, in terms of the torso and the legs, it's very monopose. And you can change the arms around a little bit and kind of get unique poses. But the Sisters kind of harken back that old style. So if you think about the old style Firstborn Space Marines, you could mix absolutely everything together. So different torsos, different legs. And whilst the Sisters don't necessarily have the different separate torsos, you can make lots of really cool, really unique units. So you can really make your own army, which I think is really interesting. And going back to Tom's question right at the start about what's my favorite thing, it's that ability to be creative and to create. And I think that's something. They're really, really cool set of models. Gazkul was a fun model. I painted that. I gave that to my brother for his 30th birthday. It was a really good model. Really enjoyed that one. Yeah, Silent King. It was a good video. I suppose that the Silent King would go into the bit of a struggle category, and that the first one was an absolute dream, and just the result. I was really happy with the result. I was really happy how it turned out. Everything about that video was an absolute dream. The second part of the video it was just painful from building them to painting them and filming it because. I film with my mobile phone, so getting the lighting right because of all the metallics and it bouncing off was just like so that was definitely a game of two halves. Glad you like my shorts. A lot of people kind of said, "Oh, don't do shorts; it doesn't work." But actually, I think it works really well for my kind of channel, and not just my channel, but other tutorial channels. Because you're showing somebody how to do something in 60 seconds or less. Yes, the footage is sped up. But I think it's that real good bite size. I probably will have to credit that with how much the channel's grown over the last 2 months. It's been crazy over the last 2 months. Absolutely bonkers. Yeah, I'm going to say McShashlik. Is that how you're pronouncing your screen there, my friend? So yes, I am going to be doing Dominion tutorials. I'm going to be doing Dindrasta this week, and I'm going to be doing the Cruel Boys boss guy on Beast next week. I'm going to do the Hobgrots as a kind of a different style speed painted tutorial. I think the drought regarding that may well be to do with embargoes on releasing things. So, and again, I might be totally wrong, but I know, so my local supplier, and by local supplier, they're tiny. They've got 3 boxes. They're like a really local news agent. So, 6 o'clock Saturday morning to pick my box up. And it was the same with Indomitus. I got it from them at 6 o'clock on Saturday because they wouldn't give it to me before. Now, I know there are copies of Dominion out in the world that have been released early that perhaps they shouldn't have, but I have a feeling that there's going to be embargo, so we'll probably see more tutorials around release day. I know Games Workshop have started releasing their tutorial for it as well, which is kind of similar to what they did for Soul Wars. So hopefully mine will sit somewhere, and hopefully they'll do well for the channel as well. Yes, the Orks update should be good. New models, new boys, so that'll be exciting. I think that was probably one of my second or third videos when I did the Ork flesh, but like the heavy metal style based on the recipe. So that was a fun one. I enjoyed that. I think I like Space Marines because I like the order. I like the kind of warrior monk vibe, the heraldry, that kind of stuff. That kind of jumps out to my creative side, the colors and that. But then my crazy side just loves the Orks because there is literally there are no rules, and you can go really wild, and nothing has to match. And yeah, so I do like the Orks as well. And yeah, I do also feel bad for for the Eldar. Thanks, Lee. I appreciate that. Yes, wasn't Ninjon's video? I think I watched it earlier. Wasn't that with the Ork where he did the oh no, it was the Death Guard. Was it the Death Guard? And he tried to replicate the box art using the color recipes on the back. Yes, I watched that. That was good. And he's just done one with the Blitzball paint set, and he's painted an Ork with that. And now that's really good as well. And that's kind of actually, if the guy, who was it? If Enrique, if you're on the call, you asked about pushing through a painting plateau, go watch that video by Ninjon, because that's basically, again, it's using a limited palette to come up with a completely unique style, and that's a really good way of pushing through that plateau that you might have. So yeah. Yes, I'm glad you like the skin shorts. What did I do? I did 4, I think. And again, that's another potential video idea where I look at taking what I've done as a short, which is a really quick one, into how you change that into something more kind of display level. So that's the idea I've got potentially of doing. Regal Giant, besides bronze, what would be good to paint the Sacrosanct Shields, Order of our Martyred Lady? I don't like the bronze on the Sacrosanct Shields, I've got to be honest. So if I was going to paint them another colour, I'd probably paint them one of the armour colours. So I probably wouldn't do them black, but maybe you could paint them black. Maybe a dark red, perhaps. I'm not sure. Because I was thinking, because I've got some Bloody Rose, and I was thinking if I was doing Bloody Rose, I'd probably paint them with white shields, because they've got the black and white habits with the red armour. So actually the white shield will really stand out. So you could go for something like a red shield, or you could go with a black shield with some red lining, maybe. I'm not sure on that one. That's a good question for a Martyred Lady. And it depends how you want them to pop. Because yeah, I'm not a fan of the bronze on them. I don't think that fits. Just my 6 pence. Yes, you do. So I've done some darker. I think I've done like a slightly longer, darker skin tutorial as well. It's using the same colours, but it kind of goes into a bit more depth. But yeah, you do rarely see them. I do think it's important that we explore them as well. Chris, nice to see you, my friend. Hello to you too. 30k, where's the Horus Heresy stuff? The Horus Heresy stuff will be done when the Horus Heresy is re-released. If rumours are to be believed, I will try to do a video for every Space Marine Legion. I set myself up for massive failure there, but Davey, yeah, so I toyed with the idea of doing some Warlord stuff, and I did like 1 or 2 Warlord videos. The fact of the matter is they don't do very well. And the reason they don't do very well is Games Workshop is the behemoth. Games Workshop's what everybody buys. Games Workshop's what everybody wants to learn how to paint. So I guess that's why I'm sticking to them a little bit. In an ideal world, yes, I would have different ranges, and I put out more content so that all of my audience was satisfied with it. But what kind of thing would you like to see? What models, what companies would you be interested in? I did one from Loot Studios recently. I say recently, it was probably about 6 months ago. Banzan Hill, Human Monk, which was a D&D character. It was a bit different. No problem, McShashlik. I hope you enjoy the videos. Yeah, maybe Tyranids are going to get some love as well. That would be good. Yeah, potentially metallic red, like a candy red. So maybe airbrushing some Blood Angels red, maybe over a bright silver. Potentially could work. Silver could work as well. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of bronze. I like Bretonians as well. It's all that heraldry stuff. Kyle, nice to see you, Kyle. Haven't seen you around for a while, so it's good to see you. Thank you for the for the support. Shorts on, so yeah, people ask me about shorts on power and energy weapons, and the reason I haven't done one yet is I haven't figured out how to get it into 60 seconds. So I could do a longer version tutorial on it, but not so much. I'll have to have a think about how I got it into shorts without losing the kind of the quality and the result. So, Chris, thank you very much for the donation. I very much appreciate it, my friend. Thank you kindly. Oh, well, you're going quite well on the Blood Bowl box, so you're working your way through that quite quick. So that's. I'm wondering how long into saying that. Yeah, I wonder how long into Saturday that's going to last. If I'm honest, maybe Sunday. We'll come back and see if we manage to do that. Would I paint a Space Marine tank or not? Good question. In theory, I'd say yes. However, the caveat I would put on that is that I would probably use an airbrush to do it to get a better result and better finish. So then I'm kind of in that catch-22 as to whether I'd feel a little bit, is this kind of going away and is this making it less accessible to some people because it's a lot harder to get some of the soft shade that you get with an airbrush. But potentially, I would say yes. And I think the other thing I kind of want you guys to be mindful of is that the techniques that I'm showing in one video are very transferable. So if I painted a dreadnought, you could use the same techniques on that dreadnought on a tank. So there wouldn't be necessarily a need for the two tutorials. But yeah, definitely something I may do in the future. My favorite non-Games Workshop mini, what would it be? That is a very good question. And I really like this guy. So this is Gardain Firebeard from Loot Studios. And that's a 75mm model. So he's really cool, really characterful. So I'd probably say either him or there's some really good 3D prints. So it's probably not even going to be a manufacturer that knows model. So there's loads of really cool 3D prints. And some models I really like. So I don't know if you saw Conan earlier, but this is a really good one. So it's proper, that 1980s style models sculpted by a guy called Joaquin Palacios, Spanish sculptor. Again, fantastic sculptor. And it's funny actually. You look outside Games Workshop and you look outside Wargaming, I guess, and there's so much cool stuff that you wouldn't necessarily be easy enough to insert into that categories. But yeah, there's lots of cool stuff out there. I'm not going to paint a Blood Angels tank or Invicta Warsuit, Chris, on camera, but I will paint them for you. Yes, wait for the vid. You may be waiting a while, but though. Enrique, nice to see you. So I've answered the question that you left in the chat. I'm glad that you enjoyed the video. So if you didn't catch it earlier, please watch it back because we talked about how you break through that plateau and there's some good stuff in the chat from that as well. So make sure you watch it back for that. Oh, Artel W does some really fantastic orcs. That sounds like the thing that he may have done. Because the Artel orcs are really good. And the one I used for the heavy metal style skin tutorial, that is an Artel W commando. They're really cool. I picked up some of his Eldar warriors. They're really, really, really cool as well. Not warriors, snipers. Eldar Rangers, that's it. They're really cool. Yeah, that's the ones, Chris. I've got them in my cupboard. As we like to call it on my Discord, it's the pile of opportunity. And one day that opportunity will come a knocking and be able to. I'll get some time. I'll be able to paint them. I don't have anything at the moment because I just tend to paint either for other people or for the channel. My challenge to myself is to get a third company Imperial Fist Gravis Force. So I've got 10 heavy intercessors on the painting table at the moment, which I showed off earlier on. which look a bit like that. So I don't know if the camera's focusing on them. So plenty to do. But yeah, that's my how I challenge myself to get that. And I also really like some of the Lumineth stuff, the high elves. So, not high elves, but Lumineth. So I've got a few of them, which I think I'll try and paint up if I get time. I'm really excited to see what Old World is going to be, and whether they're like those classic elves, which I always wanted that in a Bretonian army when I was younger, but I never got them. So it'd be nice to see if we can get those. Yes, Colin, thank you for coming along, and thank you for taking the time to chat. Really appreciated it. Which phrase? The pile of opportunity. Yeah. I might. Somebody asked me the other day about merchandise and when they'd be able to start buying merchandise with some of my my random quotes on, like work around it, get it done. I'm not sure there'd be that much call for merchandise, but that maybe we take that and run with it. That could be something we sell on a T-shirt. It's not a pile of shame; it's a pile of opportunity. People would love it. So, guys, I'm going to spend maybe like another 5 minutes. Happy to take any questions that you may have in the next 5 minutes. What are you doing with oil paints? Are you just doing oil washes, or are you actually like full on painting with them? You can buy your own T-shirt that's blue and just says blue on it. You can do that with a pen. Omnicross, thank you very much for your support. I really appreciate it. I'm glad the videos help. Yes, Rock on. I haven't seen you around for a while. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope things are starting to look a bit better. And yes, thank you for watching, and thank you for commenting, subscribing. Oh, going straight for the painting. Interesting. Yeah, it's not a pile of shame. It's a pile of opportunity. So again, I mentioned him earlier, Marco Frazzoni. He's literally just done a video on oil painting, so that might be worth having a look. Kings of War box. It's actually going back. So it was part of a commission that fell through for a, what's the word, for a stockist. So it's actually going back, but I'm okay with it because I suppose Games Workshop's really expensive, and we are really spoiled. Really spoiled in terms of the quality, not just of the sculpts, but of the plastic and of the molding. And the other companies have got a bit of catching up to do with some of those things. I don't know if it failed. The problem with, I guess, Kings of War, it's not even a problem. It's a good problem to have. It's miniature agnostic, so you don't have to use the Mantic miniatures to play it. If you rock up to a tournament, you don't have to have Mantic mini problem, and you can take that along and play with it. And it's all multi-basing as well. So you'd have a base and you'd have 8 or 10 troops on it, and the base takes wounds rather than having single models and moving, a squad of 10 models, moving each model at a time. So maybe that's part of the reason. I don't know. Apparently the game itself is fairly good. I've never played it, but I know. So I'm just thinking back now. I have done them, and it's a real weird combination of, you've got a plastic torso with a resin head and then metal arms and weapons. So it's not necessarily instantly accessible to everyone. So I don't know. But yes, that box will be going back. That's also a half-finished box of Indomitus, and my Blood Bowl box on top of it as well. So, guys, thank you very much for spending an hour with me, or for spending a little bit of time. Han, thank you very much. I'm glad that the channel has helped you out. It does mean a lot. So yeah, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. It was an absolute pleasure to speak to you and to have a bit of a conversation about it. It's the first time I've done this for all of YouTube. So thank you for being gentle and not asking me too hard questions. apart from that one as to my was it my favorite, which I really don't know. Really don't. There's just too many. So yeah, so thank you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate it. It does mean the absolute world that the channel's grown and grown over the last 2 years. So yes, to the next year and to 40,000 subs. Hopefully before the end of this year. Who knows? But we'll see. So thank you very much, guys. If you want to watch it back, you can catch the replay. I'll put the replay on the channel when I figure out how to do that, unless it does it automatically. Apparently, you can click this link again when the replay is ready, and it'll play it for you anyway. So thank you once again. Thank you to all my patrons. Some of you are in the chat this evening, and thank you for the donations. Really does mean a lot. It really does help in terms of supporting the plastic crack habit that I've got, so that I can do painting tutorials to help you guys support your plastic crack habit. It is the circle of life. So guys, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you'll enjoy the Dominion videos I've got coming up, and you'll enjoy the content. As ever, if you'd like to see anything, just get in touch, let me know. But thank you again, and I shall see you on tomorrow with the next short on Blue Cloaks, and on Sunday for Andrasta. Cheers, guys.